Hi, Jenna. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay, 10 points, as we say here in Argentina. All good.
All good here too, in Ohio.
Okay, Human in HR is like a new channel that we created in Spotify and also in YouTube, where we connect with people related with HR and we make like a brief interview just to know a little bit about yourself and your life and the balance between your work and your life and the things you wanna like to do in your daily life. So that's all. That is the presentation. And I will start like a question just to know a little more about you. It's how you start in the world of HR and when.
Yeah, so I started in HR about 8 years or so ago. I came from a background of hospitality, and then it led me to continue the career path of hospitality, which led me to staffing. And then from there, I was asked to be an HR manager at one of my previous companies. And that kind of started my HR journey. So I've been doing this for about 8 years or so now. I recently got TRIM CP certified, and I'm just continue growing and learning more in the HR world.
Okay, great. So as you said, first you start working in another thing and then you switch completely and start working with all the things related with HR, right?
Yes, correct.
And why you think you make that incredible change in your daily work?
So there was a defining moment that was making me interested in HR. I've previously worked at a company, and it was a union based company, and there was an issue with an employee, and that issue, there was a discrepancy in the collective bargaining agreement that prevented me from taking authority in a situation. And ever since that, it basically led me to a determination where I wanted to get into the HR world to prevent circumstances like that. I wanted to make things a little bit more black and white with little gray. So it was intriguing to me where I just took that moment and I thought that it could have been handled better and it could have been avoided. I'm a very preventative person versus reactionary. So it was a goal of mine to switch my roles. I went through so many departments in hospitality, and that was probably one of the only ones I didn't get to go into. It became a goal of mine. And then from there, things just kind of aligned. And once I was presented an opportunity, it was just something I wanted to pursue. And I'm happy I did. I think I found that. I think.
Okay, great. And what things do you like about working in HR, or maybe also the things that you don't like?
Very opposite ends of the spectrum. Some of the favorite things I love working on, I love recruiting. I love finding top talent and bringing them to an organization. That ultimately helps that candidate as well as the company. That's one of the most rewarding experiences. Love culture and engagement. Very, very embedded with culture and coming up with activities and events that really make the workplace an extension of their home life. Something where they work hard and they play hard and they're rewarded and recognized. So employee recognition, employee engagement, all of those are my favorite things about HR. I love the strategy behind HR. I love dealing with payroll and benefits and having the number side and breaking up from the people side from time to time. Goes without saying, of course, some of the cons and my least favorite things are dealing with, disciplinaries, employee relations, terminations. All of those things are not fun parts of the job. They're necessary, and they're something that I do handle daily or weekly or monthly on a basis. Of course, that's more of the downside of the job, but just part of it.
Yes, totally. It's part of it. And it's like resolving problems that maybe it appears in a day that you have to to tell like a termination for a person that maybe you have like a good relationship. I think that also is difficult, but yeah, it's something that you have to do. It's part of your role, right?
Yeah, it's hard because you do have to turn off like the personal and the human side sometimes in order to get through some of those tough conversations. Ultimately, if it becomes a business decision, you have to navigate it accordingly while still having the human aspect of it. So it's finding that balancing act, and it can be challenging, but it's necessary.
Totally. And like a question it will be maybe you don't thought about, but what things you realize that are changing in the world of HR in the last couple of years?
In HR, there's a lot of, laws are constantly changing. So laws change within the state and federal, and that creates, challenges or at least changes within HR. So if there's a federal change that has to do with compliances, if there is a state law that has to do with wages or anything of that nature. So that's something that I think is just always going to evolve and change. 401k, health benefits, all of those things. There's always some sort of things that are changing that is just ever evolving every year. So I would say that those are probably like the most common practices of where we see change that's not within our control.
Yes, what I realized that maybe here in Argentina, all the things related with the work change a lot after and before the coronavirus in 2020, right? Because here they started here in Argentina and South America and Latin America, maybe before COVID, it was not so usual that maybe people work in their homes. And maybe after COVID, it changed a lot because the only way to work it was in our houses. So maybe also it's something that I realized here in Argentina and South America, it's like that, but maybe in the US, I don't know if you saw that change also.
Yeah, definitely. I would say initially after COVID occurred, there was a lot of the opportunity where employees were working remotely and then it kind of adapted to hybrid. I would say there is still that change where there are a lot of offices that are now bringing employees back into the office that were fully remote or hybrid to full time. For me, it only affected me for a short period. At a previous company, we had the initial kind of 6-week lockdown, if you will, and then ever since that back in the office. So for the companies I've been with, it really hasn't impacted us really at all. It has impacted HR and other companies, of course, and I think it's been a really good opportunity to kind of expand your talent pool and be able to have a little bit more flexibility and work to life balance and all those things. So I think a lot of good things came out of it, but it's just a matter of if it's here to stay or if companies are continuing bringing employees back in the office. I think it's a little bit up in the air, company dependent.
Yes, totally. Yes, I think that's also we learn how to a little balance between our personal life and our work because working in our homes maybe it has like the good side that you can take your time, for example, to take a walk with your dog. For example, in my case with my dog, I take like 10 minutes of a walk of 10 minutes in the middle of my work. So maybe that is something that could help to continue working like in a good way.
Yeah, getting your kids on the bus, off the
So
bus, and obviously saving the commute time. I take 40. My commute's about 40 minutes each way to the office. So yeah, there's opportunity if you're working remote or hybrid that you can just start your day earlier.
totally. You waste a lot
Yeah,
of time going one place to the other. Yeah. Obviously, and in big cities also that is like a problem. Traveling with your own car or maybe like a bus or a subway here also take a lot of time completely.
and weather too. We've had a lot of snow lately, so that's been extending our travel times too.
Totally. And like, I would like to know how you make like a balance. Continue talking about the same thing that I have just said. How you make a balance between your personal life and your work.
Yeah, that's something I've been navigating for some time because within hospitality and some of the previous companies I worked for, they were very 24/7 industry. So I really struggled with the boundaries of work to life balance. I had little to no work to life balance. So now with the company that I'm at currently, it's been a lot greater of an opportunity to navigate because it's the first time I'm not in a 24/7 industry. So everyone leaves at 5 o'clock and there's very little opportunities to have discussion after hours because we don't have a second shift or anything of that nature. Of course, if there is something that is pressed or something that an owner or CEO might need, again, it just depends if it's a priority and a must have at that point, which more often than not, it can wait and they'll say that. So work to life balance has been a lot easier to navigate these days, which I would say is because of the industry and the hours of operations that we currently have. All my experience before, it was 24/7, so I was getting all sorts of calls after hours, and thankfully I have a little bit more of a control and handle on it now.
Yes, I think that also it's very important for other people to have like a balance.
Very.
Don't be like 24 hours thinking
Yeah.
about work. It's something really important for for all the people in the world, I think. It's really, really
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
There was definitely those days that I was before I got to work, I was working. It could be 7 a.m. and I was working, after hours until I went to bed, and it could be midnight, and it was just nonstop calls, just because of the nature of the business, and it would just be sporadically throughout the night, so I wasn't ever really off. It just felt like I was just kind of on and always had to pay attention. So that lifestyle has changed, and it is really important for employees to have a work-to-life balance. It makes such a difference in culture and in their day-to-day and their, just their personal life. So it's something that I think is undervalued or taken for granted, and, something that is really important.
Totally, yes, yes. And changing what we are talking, how you understand or how you get realize that a person that you are interviewing can fix in the role that you're looking for, and also in the culture of your company. How you
Yeah.
realize about that? I think that
Yeah.
that's also a really, really important thing about all the things related with interviews, with the
Yeah.
HR, with recruitment.
Yeah, there's a number of ways to tell. So when it comes to, we do a number of assessments. So we try to get an idea about a culture fit through those assessments, as well as obviously through the interviewing process. We interview initially on Teams, and then we bring the person on site for an on-site interview, which I do think is very important. It's worth getting to know someone in person, seeing their mannerisms, how they fit in, how they're interacting with other personnel in the facility. So we can have a really good grasp if somebody's going to fit in or not, just about, it could be something as simple as small talk, banter, interaction, just really how things flow with conversation. So I would say it's one of my biggest things I'm looking out for is that someone's going to be a culture fit, and there's always some sort of indicators. And I always call it like the warm fuzzy feeling. When you get a warm fuzzy feeling that somebody, you're like, yeah, this is like the right fit. You just feel welcomed and encouraged with them. So there's usually defining moments of that I'm looking for, but for the most part, it's really a combination of assessments in the interviewing process and how they're responding and interacting in those scenarios.
Yes, totally. And the culture, it's really important for the candidates to understand the culture, and for you, in your case, to know if this person could fix or not in the culture. It's really important, because maybe he start working, and in like a month, you realize that maybe this person is not aligned with the culture, and you have to change and make all the hearings again, the interviews and the process. So yes, I think that also is really important.
It does happen. For the most part, I pride myself that we catch those signs in an interview process. But yeah, there are times that somebody can interview really well and you don't really realize it till they're in. And it could take that 30, 60, 90 days. And I always call it, it's the honeymoon phase. If the honeymoon phase is honeymooning, something, there's a red flag and there's something off there. And, occasionally that does happen where in the first 90 days, you unfortunately realize that it's not a culture aligned. But I would say more often than not, we're pretty successful at being able to tell before we get to that point of hiring.
Okay, great. And talking about red flags, can you tell me a little more about what type of red flags you realize that maybe people have, that you get, for example, just, okay, this person, I thought that it was a good candidate for this role, but this red flag, it's something that I realized that maybe is not for this role. What type of red flags do you have, like, you analyze?
Yeah, so there's a few. I mean, sometimes you realize that someone might not be a fit for the role, but there's still a culture fit, so there might be something that's a different opportunity. If somebody comes in and I put them in purchasing and I realize that they have a little bit more of a sales flair, it's something that, we might just redirect, and maybe it's the right person but not in the right seat. So there's some indication that they're just not fitting in the role they're at. Red flags if they're just not a fit culturally or within the organization, or a few things. I would say a big red flag is if somebody's in my office a lot within the first 90 days, that's a red flag. Whether it's because of their manager complaining about them or if the employee themselves is complaining. Because there's a lot of times that, I'll see a lot of somebody and it's really unusual, because I know it could come as a surprise, but nobody wants to be in HR. Nobody wants to go to the principal office. So if I see someone a lot, there's usually a red flag that we're not aligned, because they're not getting what they need from the company, and vice versa. We're obviously looking for, it could be a candidate that we need to be a self-starter, and they might need more direction from the manager, and it's just not aligning that way. So sometimes that happens, or it's just a totally different job that they signed up for that they didn't realize, what it actually entailed. So those are the red flags. I think that if I'm seeing somebody more than I should be within the first 90 days, and also how they're interacting with others too. Are they direct with others? Are they friendly? Are they personable? If I have a few employees saying, the same thing, those are usually red flags that indicate that there's something that's going on, and we kind of
It's happening with this person. Yes, totally. Yes.
And the odds are it's not going to improve.
Yes. I think that those things are maybe personal things that different candidates or people have in their own personal being. So yes, just to those red flags are things that maybe you can realize that it's not the right person for this position or for the company or whatever.
Exactly.
And I would like to close a little bit this interview. First of all, I would like you to know if you want to ask me something. I don't have any problem. In case you don't have any questions, I have a last question that I always make, but it's on your side.
I don't have any questions offhand.
Okay, no problem, obviously. No, the last question is if you recommend a podcast or YouTube channel or something that you read, if you have any recommendation for people that maybe are listening this program.
Yeah. So recently, when I was getting my certification for SHRM, I was actually on YouTube, and I was actually following a few channels that was actually really insightful. And I'm trying to think of what it was offhand. But I was following this site, and she specialized in everything that had to do with passing your certification. But it was interesting how she was training for that. So if somebody else is considering getting certified for their SHRM certification, I highly recommend that they go and check out this channel. And they're going to find out a lot of great resources as well, because not only does it help with the exam, but it basically gets you to think from a SHRM strategy point more so than, your day-to-day. And experiences are obviously going to alter that as well. You're going to have different circumstances and different solutions when you're dealing with something on firsthand versus necessarily what could just be the correct SHRM way. So it was really unique kind of listening and reading that. I was really, really invested in that. And there was all sorts of apps and everything that I was reading at the time as well. And it was something that I just felt like was a really good resource. And I got a lot out of that, as well as the app. I used Pocket Prep and the SHRM CP Prep and all of that stuff. And it gave you a lot of questions, and it made you think a little bit more with strategy and the SHRM way, and it was something that was really, really useful to me. And I'm actually going to have to check what the channel that was, because
Okay, no problem.
Drawing a blank on it, but it was so helpful. I want to say, I know it starts with an A. I think it was Angela. It is. It's HR Exam Prep with Angela.
Okay, great. Just to know what persons can't listen or read or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, Jenna, thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you for the time, and hope you see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.